Welcome to Shelf Life, the monthly feature where I look back at games I covered in the past about 6 months ago and tell you whether they stayed in my collection or for Kickstarters and GameFound, whether I ended up backing them myself. Like always, people entered and guessed which games I would be keeping, and we're going to have the results of that contest at the end of the video, let you know who won a game from my collection, so stay tuned after the video for that. But for this video, we're looking back to this past February, and I covered 12 games that month. It was pretty busy, so let's get to it and see which of them had shelf life. So the first game on the list is Empyreal from Level 99 Games, and I did get a review copy of this one. This is a competitive train game that sort of mixes in a rondel mechanic and some tableau building, engine building, and it can be played solo or cooperatively with the expansion, and this is one that is a very big box, so I wasn't sure if I would keep it, but I did back the game in the most recent Kickstarter with a small expansion, so I'm hanging on to it at least for now until all of that arrives, and I would like to show it to my son and play some co-op with him, but again, the box is so dang huge that I imagine this one might go away eventually, but not quite yet. Next, a crowdfunding game that I covered during the Kickstarter. This is The Hunted Wode Ridge. This is one I really enjoyed the theme of. It's kind of the kids on bikes idea mixed with some E.T. where you're trying to protect this alien, but also going to kind of the upside down a la Stranger Things. And I'll be covering the first Hunted games later on the list, but this most recent one, I think except for some balance issues, which I talked to Gabe, the designer, about and he said he would fix, I think is the best one thematically. I think has the most fun art. I think has the most epic and narrative experience of the series. So I'm very excited about this one. I would have backed it anyway, but Gabe said he'll be able to send me a review copy, so I'll be getting one regardless. I'm definitely excited to play this one more. Next is Sagrada, the quick competitive dice placement stained glass building game with a solo mode in the box. And this one was gifted to me by one of our Discord members, Nick. So thank you, Nick, but unfortunately I didn't really enjoy this one. Especially the solo mode out of the box is a complete mess. I really think it does not work at all. Now, in my video, I also showed a fan-made solo that works way, way better, but still, I didn't find the game that exciting. There are other family weight games I would much rather bust out. I'll be talking about one of them in just a moment. So yeah, Sagrada didn't really float my boat. That one is gone. And then we come to Viscounts of the West Kingdom, the third game in the West Kingdom trilogy. I got a review copy for this one from Renegade Games, and even though I'm not a big fan of Euro games, this one and kind of its rondel mechanics and its inner-outer rings of actions and different strategies to pursue made this one actually a surprisingly fun ride for me, not usually liking Euros that much. But, and this is just about my taste, not about the game, just like most Euros, eventually the variety kind of wore off and it became sort of a similar tactical puzzle each time, which just again to my taste does not hold my interest. So even though I really like this one and definitely recommend it to any Euro fans out there, it was not something I needed to keep for myself. And war games, we haven't talked about war games in a while. Our next game is Shores of Tripoli. This is a 2-player 1v1 game where one player is the US and the other one is the Pirates of Tripoli, and you're trying to fight for dominance of the seas. And it's a card-driven war game, a cool design. I definitely enjoyed the 1v1 play, but the solo play I found a little too samey. You can only control one of the two sides. The other side tends to do stuff in a very predictable fashion and a very predictable pattern. So I definitely enjoyed my 4 or 5 plays. The card play and the dice-based combat are a lot of fun, but this was not one I felt I needed to keep. I thought I'd pretty much seen everything the solo had to offer. If I was playing 1v1 war games more often, I think it would have had much greater value. And rounding out the top half of the list is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. This was one that I covered during the Kickstarter in February, but it's already delivered. Nice job on that. And while I enjoy the original Terraforming Mars, I think I like Ares Expedition more because it has simultaneous play. It borrows the action mechanic from Race for the Galaxy, which I don't really find that exciting in the game, but it works okay. But the key thing is the game plays way faster, and it keeps the thing that I like the most about Terraforming Mars, which is the great tableau building and combos of cards and variety of strategies you can pursue. But that being said, I didn't quite love it enough to back it in the Kickstarter. I didn't quite love it enough to buy it in retail. But Peter from the streaming channel and podcast bought it, and I've played it, and I'd be happy to play it again. But not one that I think I would bust out. I found solo okay. I thought co-op was by far the weakest mode the game had, and I just don't play that many competitive games, and certainly not this kind of competitive game. So except for playing it at Peter's house, I have no need to own it myself. And going into our next 6, we have Quacks of Quedlinburg, which is the bag building push your luck competitive game. And in my video, I showed off a solo variant from BGG, and this game is amazing. This is one of my family's favorite games. I don't play solo that much. I do want to make that clear. Even though I showed off a solo variant and I think it works well, this is not a game I fully recommend for solo play. But the competitive play, the bag building, the variety, especially with the Witches expansion, I think they have another one coming, adding even more stuff to play around with. This is just such consistent fun for me and my family, as long as, and this is incredibly important, you got to make peace with the game being very random, with there sometimes being runaway leaders. It's just how the thing goes. If you can let that slide and just enjoy the ride, I think this game is fabulous. Next, we have 1862, the first 18xx complicated economic train game of stocks and track laying that I had ever played, and I got this as a review copy from GMT, and this one did not float my boat, at least for the solo play. I felt like the way they did the stock market took away all of the interesting machinations you can do in multiplayer. Now, even with that aspect kind of gone, I still really enjoyed actually building my railroads and laying track and buying different trains. I thought all of that was really cool. But the solo play for me felt like an overly tough puzzle that was fairly lifeless. So for me, not enjoying the solo and not having prospects to play multiplayer, this was an easy pass. Next is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. This was another Kickstarter that I covered, and it's based on one of my favorite graphic novels, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, and I only got to see 1/4 of the game where Batman goes against Two-Face, and I thought it was okay. It seemed like they still had a lot of development work to do, and like I said, I only got to see 1/4 of the game. I did enjoy the core mechanic of picking out action and fight cards, and the ones you don't pick going into this event deck, but it seemed like from what I played, there would probably be pretty limited replay in the individual scenarios because there wasn't a lot that would be varied up, and you had what I thought was too much control over where elements got put on the board. So it might be amazing since they were still developing it when I played it, but based on what I saw, I did not have enough confidence to back it during the Kickstarter. And now we get to one that I mentioned earlier, the 1-2 punch of the original Hunted games, one based on the movie Die Hard, the other based on the movie Aliens. And congratulations to those of you who entered the contest, because this one you got right no matter what, because I got rid of one of them and I kept one of them. And the big winner for me was the mining colony version, the Aliens one, because even though I'm usually not a big fan of dexterity games, I found trying to flick or throw the little weapon tokens onto aliens a lot of fun. I thought it had great tension. And the big thing is the dice in the Die Hard game left me wanting. I felt like I didn't have enough control. I felt like they were too random, especially the skill checks were a total mess. Once you got injured, it became almost impossible and you would just go down this like spiral of death. So I found the mining colony one and Wode Ridge, which I think fixed a lot of the issues, by far the best Hunted games. The Die Hard one, I think it's called Kobayashi Tower, was not that good for me. So I kept one, got rid of one. There you go. And let's get to the last 2 games of this month's episode. First, we have Union City Alliance, a superhero game from a non-established IP, which is always a tough sell. But I did a video for this one. Steve did some stuff on the streaming channel. This is a deck builder, but you have to run around the city you're trying to save to actually build your deck. They have these varied villains, these varied scenarios, cool heroes where you deck build some generic cards from other heroes, but you also have your own unique deck to deck build into, so your character always keeps their personality even when you build your deck. And yeah, I really enjoyed the gameplay here, and I wanted to help the creator out, so I might have been able to ask for a review copy, but I just went ahead and pledged all in for this one just to help it reach its funding goal and go as far as it could, and I'm very excited to play this one. Definitely enjoyed all the times I played on TTS. And finally, we get to one that Colin's been playing a lot recently, Dice Throne Adventures. And I've shared this before, but my 8-year-old Harrison, he really likes Dice Throne as a competitive game, and he even more enjoys Dice Throne Adventures because he doesn't have to worry about Daddy beating him, although, to be honest, he usually wins. So this one is definitely staying. I've got all of Season 2. I went in for the reloaded version of Season 1, so they did send me a review copy of just Dice Throne Adventures, just like that $50 set, but I put in like another, I don't know, $150 for everything else. Now, all that being said, I do have some cautions for other people who might buy this. It is Yahtzee, so you have to be ready for some dice luck. And probably the biggest complaint I have with Dice Throne Adventures specifically is that going through 8 scenarios with the same character and the character not really changing very much got very repetitive and been dull for me. So a variant, I forget if I came up with it or somebody on our Discord, but Colin's been using it in his playthroughs, I use it in all my plays, is to keep one hero just for a crawl mode battle and a boss battle, and then move on. So basically you play 4 different heroes over the course of the 8 scenario campaign. So there you have it, 12 games, and 6 of them sort of made the cut. Hang on if you want to see who won and guess. We had some perfect correct answers this time. Very impressive with 12 games in the mix. But in any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next episode of Shelf Life. And hey, time to find out who is the winner of Shelf Life for this month. But first, let's review how everybody did with their guesses for the games. So we start with easily the top one, The Hunted, because as I mentioned, everyone got it right. But definitely most people thought I was culling both of them, I guess. But then getting to the more normal entries, 1862 was the most confident correct answer. 75% of people thought I would cull this one. And then next was The Dark Knight Returns, 72% of people correct there. Dice Throne Adventures was the one people were the most confident I would keep, with 64% of people voting. Then we got Sagrada tied for 64% saying I would cull it, right behind Quacks of Quedlinburg, 63% keep, Shores of Tripoli, 63% cull, a nice strong center there. And right around the 50% mark, we have Ares Expedition. 52% of people thought I would not get that one. Union City Alliance, not too confident, 43% thought I would keep it. And tied with that is Viscounts, with 43% saying I would call. And the last two, definitely the most surprising, probably messed up a lot of people's brackets, is Empyreal with 31% saying I would keep it, and Hunted Wode Ridge, only 26% thought I would keep that one. And as for entrants, as usual, we had over 100 people in the contest, and these 3 came to the top. And this is sort of the YouTube bracket this month. We've got Purple Moose Plays with his YouTube channel, and his family also recently had a new baby, so congrats, Carl. We've got Rafael Pabon, one of our patrons, and I've been playing a lot of TTS games with him, so nice to see him and I being in sync in our thoughts. And finally, we've got Will, the Hungry Gamer, another friend of the channel, another YouTube creator. But there's actually not going to be a random selection this time because 2 of these people got an 11 out of 12 and one of them nailed it. So the person who got every answer right, and they got them all right in like 5 minutes. I had just posted the contest when wham, the answers came in. I think Carl was sitting with the baby maybe, or taking a break while he put his answers in, because yes, Purple Moose Plays. Carl, you are the winner this month. 100% correct. Well done, sir. So Carl, I'll be in contact soon. Find which game you'd like me to send you. Hopefully something quick so you can fit it in between the baby's sleep schedule. And Raphael and Will, great job to both of you. And thanks to everyone who entered the contest. We'll see you next month for more Shelf Life.